I used to feel weirded out by some kids' drawings, the ones that seemed a little too dark. I used to watch Loie Lane talk about them all the time, and it freaked me out. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized maybe there's something more to these drawings than just chaos or fear. Social media, culture, upbringing, and our own experiences shape what we find creepy or unsettling. What one person laughs at, another person might be genuinely disturbed by. And kids, their imaginations are wild, sometimes way beyond what adults expect. Today we're diving into some of the strangest kids' drawings I've come across, exploring what they might mean, and what they could tell us about ghosts, hallucinations, and the human imagination. So let's just jump straight into it. The first image we see is on plain white paper. It's drawn in what looks like Sharpie. It says, "Dear Valerie, get out of my life." And it shows a head being chopped off by an axe with a sad face. Very lovely. Great artmanship. You know, I just can't imagine what's going through a kid's mind where they're like, "Fuck you, I want you dead." And I was one of those kids, so it's just insane. The second image was drawn on a whiteboard, and it's of a girl with what looks like a knife cutting off her dad's throat. And it says, "This is gonna happen to you." And the dad is crying. Kids express themselves in really fucked up ways, and I just made a script for poetry venting type of stuff. This is like the early version of people doing that. Like, kids just venting, she's just letting it all out. And with that basic introduction to creepy kids drawings out of the way, let's get into some of the weirder, more potentially explainable ones. In this image, we see 3 figures, one with an extremely long neck, one with 6 arms, and one that just has a normal set of arms. They all have very sharp teeth and weird mouths, and they're all wearing suits with red ties. Apparently, this is a 5-year-old son's imaginary friends. Very Slenderman-esque. I can't imagine what it's like to be a parent finding this and just being like, "What the hell did you draw? Get this the fuck out of my house." But instead, no, they're like, "No, let me hang that up on the fridge." Oh my god, I'd be traumatized. The next image is drawn in charcoal. This is in Finnish. It talks about surrendering to Satan, but this is not Satan. And obviously on the left, we see a person with their hands and feet blacked out. And on the right, we see the devil holding his pitchfork and having horns. It's crazy to think that a lot of this is inspired by religion for this one. I can imagine this kid just going to church and coming home and drawing this, and probably getting grounded for it. Let's imagine. This one was captioned, "This is Tonso. He is our ancestor who comes through the mirror, or so I am told." It is a vague watercolor figure in red. You can't really tell what it's doing. It's more the description that freaks you out. Ancestor who comes through the mirror. I fucking hate mirrors. I hate mirrors. So hearing this, no thank you. The next image is a black figure with sharp teeth and nails, and it has a tail. It's outside of the house looking in, and it's titled "At Night." We can see someone in the house looking out at it, and they look kind of scared. So obviously this child feels watched, and not by a very good presence if you ask me. This image is very creepy. It features just a pencil drawing of 3 circle faces with big burnt out eyes and sharp teeth, and it's all dark in the background, and it says, "Help me, help me, help me, help me." Holy shit, what the fuck? Kids are so fucked up sometimes. Like, genuinely, if you brought this to me, I would lose my mind. And the last image shows a childish landscape with a girl in a pink dress and a monster friend, which is this bloody figure missing limbs and having bloody eyes and mouth. It reads, "This is Lisa. She is my friend. My mom and dad can't see her, so they said. She is an imaginary friend. Lisa is a nice friend." And that is why I'm never having kids. You know, I'm good. I'm fine for now. I don't need this shit in my life. Looking at all of these drawings together, a pattern starts to emerge. Children's imaginations are incredible. They explore fear and curiosity in ways that can look shocking to us. And while some of what they draw might seem sinister or supernatural, there's also a scientific lens we can apply. Kids' brains are still developing. Their ability to separate fantasy from reality isn't fully formed, and sometimes their experiences might even border on hallucinations or other perceptual phenomenon. Despite often transient nature of hallucinations in children and adolescents, these experiences, even at a young age, can cause severe distress and reduce functioning. This profile is somewhat contrary to the working group's proposition in 2014 to distinguish two types of hallucinations: those that occur in presence of childhood psychosis and those that do not. Current insight suggests the application of a more general staging model, in which hallucinations can occur from a benign and transient phenomenon at one end of the symptom of severe psychopathology of several interacting domains at the other. In simple words, kids can just hallucinate. They just possess this ability. It might be their imagination, or it might be psychology. We don't exactly know yet. So when a child tells you they saw something, maybe it's imagination, or maybe it's a hallucination, or maybe, just maybe, they're picking up on something we can't see. From a scientific perspective, ghosts don't exist. Or at least there's no verified evidence that they do. Ghost hunting is widely considered a pseudoscience, and centuries of investigations have failed to prove any location is actually inhabited by spirits of the dead. Even historical reports often turn out to be explainable by environmental factors, suggestion, or misperception. Some of the weird things people have interpreted as ghosts, like strange sounds, flickering lights, or moving objects, can actually be linked to things like carbon monoxide exposure, certain medications, or even neurodegenerative diseases. So while the stories are compelling, science remains unclear. There's nothing paranormal happening here, at least that we can prove. Now, full disclosure, I personally do believe in ghosts, but I approach it cautiously. I'm not talking about evil spirits or dramatic hauntings, more like the idea that there could be this beyond our understanding. Actually, I didn't have this planned into the script, but I thought it could be super cool if I told you a few of my ghost experiences growing up, because I have had some, which is why I believe that they do exist. I had moved to America a year and a half ago. I had just moved out from living on base. I'm sitting in one of my bedrooms. I am in the exact location it took place, to be specific. So I'm sitting in my bed across the room, and I wake up sitting up. And I'm like, this is weird. And I'm staring at the TV. And I stare for about 5 seconds, and the TV turns to static, and then it turns on. It was off before, and now it's on. And I'm like, oh my god, ghosts are gonna come yank me by my feet and come snatch me out of this house. And so I scream at the top of my lungs, bloody murder. And my mom comes running in like, what the hell is wrong with you? And I'm like, ghost? She's like, it's a power surge. Oh, to this day, I do not believe it was a power surge. Bitch. Anyway, another time was the ghost sewer. I'm with my friends. I don't even remember what was happening, but we have this haunted house that I doubt is haunted anymore. It's been blessed before, it's been cleared before, it's been everything. But it also had gang activity in it, so it just has bad vibes all around. So it got ruined, and then we're sitting about a house and a half away from it at this sewer drain, and we hear knock, 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 and we're like, oh, there's a man down there. And then we go back the next day and we hear knock, knock, knock. And we're like, well, why would a worker be down there twice at different hours? So we throw some rocks down there, and then we hear knock, 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 and we run away screaming. We go back to it. I bring a camera, and it's like one of those old school cameras. And by old school, I don't mean dinosaurs camera. I mean like, the 2000s, 2010s, those little plastic things that you put batteries in and an SD card. And it wasn't really a camera, but it recorded. So I bring it out and I record it, and you can't hear it on there. And so I'm like, are we all hallucinating this? And I've gone back to it as an adult, and there's no knocking. So I don't know what the hell could have been happening. And we tried to recreate it in so many ways. We knocked on the concrete. It was too thick. It didn't make that noise. So something was making that knocking sound. Still, I get why science remains skeptical, and why most ghost sightings have other explanations. Interestingly, according to a 2015 Pew Research survey, about 18% of adults in the United States have reported seeing or been in the presence of a ghost. That's nearly 1 in 5 people, meaning there is a good chance someone you know has so-called ghostly encounters. These experiences are real to people reporting them, and psychologists and neuroscientists have been studying what they might be. Research has shown that certain brain mechanisms can make us interpret internal signals as external phenomenon. For instance, patients who experience hallucinations, whether auditory or visual, sometimes struggle to differentiate what is coming from inside their own mind and what is happening outside of it. Even in healthy individuals, they can experience a related phenomenon, like hypnagogic or hypnopic hallucinations, which occur while falling asleep or waking up. I have these. During these transitional states, the brain is reorganizing its activity, and it can produce vivid images, sounds, or even the sensation that someone is in the room with you. Studies suggest up to 70% of people have experienced this at some point in their lives, often without realizing it. So while 18% of adults report seeing ghosts, science suggests that many of these experiences could be explained by our brains misinterpreting stimuli, especially in states of fatigue, stress, or altered perception. And interestingly, children's brains, being even more plastic and imaginative, are particularly susceptible to these kinds of phenomena. Which brings us back to our dark, strange, and sometimes unsettling kids' drawings. Children's brains are still developing, and part of that development involves learning to distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. Shadows in a room, fleeting shapes, or even their own internal thoughts can be interpreted as external phenomena. In other words, a child might genuinely perceive a figure in the corner of the room, a face in the darkness, or a presence by the window, and for them, it feels real. Add to this the fact that children are more open to spiritual or supernatural explanations, and it's easy to see that they might describe encounters that adults would call hallucinations or imaginary friends. So, maybe ghosts do exist. Who's to say that people's experiences with hallucinations aren't real? That what they're seeing, hearing, or feeling isn't valid in their own mind? I think it's okay to let people believe in whatever they want, as long as they're not putting them in danger. Obviously, old school exorcisms and extreme rituals are mentally and emotionally exhausting, and historically they have been deadly. Obsession with ghosts can tip into delusion if you're not careful. It's all about finding the balance, respecting personal experience without letting paranoia or fantasy take over. At the end of the day, whether it's kids' drawings, personal hallucinations, or ghost stories, it's all part of how humans try to understand the unknown. And maybe that's a little bit beautiful in itself. What do you think? Have you ever felt something that you couldn't explain? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share your own spooky or strange experiences, or even post a drawing of your imaginary friend and tag me on Twitter. And hey, if you enjoyed this dip into the weird and wonderful side of the human imagination, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button, and come back anytime you're ready to explore more of the strange, dark, and fascinating world around us. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys. I have had so many hypnagogic hallucinations while falling asleep, my favorite ones being male fear, taxidation, Osiphus, get them. I don't want to show you the voice, I just want to watch the video. Besides that, I'm a grown-ass dreamer. Maybe if he would go to his other children, they would love him. Sudden only has black and blue. Eats this entirely the Crocs. You know what? My hairline's bad. Put the drugs down, Karen. Or even